your host, Ben Worthington.
I'll do that again, actually. Hello there, IELTS podcast listeners. In this episode, we're going to talk to a very intelligent student called Sabrina, who has got some good news to tell us about her IELTS exam. So, could you tell us a bit about yourself, Sabrina, where you're from, what you're doing, and why you're taking IELTS?
Hi. Okay. Yes, I am. Yeah, my name is Sabrina, and I'm from Germany. And I did the IELTS test because I want to move to Australia. I'm a secondary school teacher, and I'm on the skills list. And for Australia, you need to, have a certain IELTS score to actually apply for the visa.
Awesome. And when do you plan to go to Australia? Have you got a time frame set?
Not really. I mean, I would love to go in the next year or so, but timetables change, so I don't know what's going to.
And have you been to Australia before?
Oh yeah, I traveled in Australia in 2011, and I liked the country so much, so I decided when I finished my exams and when I finished to be a teacher, I try to apply.
Excellent.
To actually live there for a while and work there.
Yeah, my sister was there for like 10, 11 years, something like that. She met an Australian guy in London, and then he stole her, took her to Australia, and she's not even.
Lucky.
Yeah. But then eventually she came back home. But so you were taking the exam for the immigration. Have you started the process yet? Have you started the application?
Yes. I handed in everything I think in January. Mm-hmm. I finished all the application, and I had to do the IELTS test because of the AITSL, the Australian Institute for Teaching and School Leadership. Mm-hmm. They just want to have an IELTS score, which is you have to do the academic test, mm-hmm. and you have to have a score from listening 8, reading 7, writing 7, and speaking 8.
Gotcha. I see. So, and how many times had you taken the test beforehand?
To be honest, I had to take 6 tests in total, which was really hard. And
wow.
It was really hard for me, especially because I'm a teacher and I'm actually used to tests, because I had to do a lot of tests while I was studying. Mm-hmm. But the problem with IELTS for me personally was that I got the test results back and I didn't know where my mistakes were. So that was the main problem. Mm-hmm. And I started off with my first test. It was in November 2016, and I started off not bad. I achieved my necessary scores in listening and reading straight away, but writing, in speaking, I just missed about the required score, about 0.5.
Right.
But writing was my how do you say that? Writing was really hard for me. I mean, I hate writing even in my language, in German. I'm not really talented at that. I'm a science teacher. I'm more into science and stuff. Mm-hmm. So that was my big problem.
I see. Right. And that was in 2016 you was taking the test. And then November 2016. And then you took a few more tests. And how were you preparing for the exam during that period, during this from November 2016?
How can I start? I bought a book. I bought Cambridge IELTS practice book, and I did several tests in there. So I sat down on my desk basically after work, and I did reading tests, I did listening tests, and that was sort of easy. And I also did every now and then I did a writing test. Mm-hmm. That's how that's how I started to prepare for my first test in November, because I had no idea how the test is going to be like, and everything else. But after my first test, I felt so like, oh my god, this is really hard. And because also the everything around it, because the circumstances, the whole frame about this test was really hard, because just were allowed to take a drink in, just water or whatever, something in a clear bottle with no writing on it, and you were not allowed to take any food with you. And that was kind of weird too for me, because obviously you can't really don't have time to eat a lot, but a little snack here and there would have helped, because you have no break. And you start off with the listening and then the reading, and straight away after that the writing. And I actually needed every minute of this test. I couldn't go to toilet because it was really hard to achieve everything in that time span.
Yeah, I totally understand. It's very intense, isn't it? It's very intense. It's like an English endurance marathon,
The word for it, exactly. And so after this test, after the first test, I thought, oh God, I hope I don't have to do it again. But then I got the test results back, and my first test result was, let me have a look. Was the writing. I just had 6 points, and I needed 7. So I thought, okay, this is why I have to practice, or this category I have to get into, So I bought, typical teacher, so I bought a book about writing, how to write IELTS essays for academic. And then I studied this, and I practiced the essays for myself. I let my friends read through, and my partner is from England, so he could actually help me quite a lot with that. And I thought I got better, so I decided to do a next test, the second test.
Yeah,
my writing got better, from 6 to 6.5, but not quite. It stayed there. Basically, it stayed there for all the other tests. I couldn't get the final 0.5, and I didn't know why. Was it because of the grammar? Was it because of the task achievement? Was it because of, I don't know, my vocabulary or whatever? It was so frustrating. I really was frustrated. And every time when I thought about it, I was like, oh dear God. But then I think I got in touch with you guys around May or June in 2017, last year.
Yeah, I think it was that time.
Yeah, and from this day on, I it sounds weird, and it sounds totally like, oh, I want to advertise you guys, but it's not. It's not true. I mean, it really helped a lot, because I tried also a different how can I say a different organization, a different service, where it was I don't know how much money it was, but they told me you get your results and an estimated mark between 24 or 48 hours. So I thought, oh yeah, that sounds quite good. So I handed that in, and I sent them, this organization, some of my essays. And yeah, I got an estimated mark back, but there was no explanation. They made some comments on my essay, but there was not a real explanation. So this didn't help either. So I started a little bit more research on the internet, and then I found you, and so I subscribed to the writing channel.
Yeah. I saw you got a pack of essay corrections. Can we just go back to the book? Would you recommend the book? Did it help you? I mean, it improved your score by 0.5, no? Roughly, plus the work you did.
Yeah. I mean, my final IELTS result is that I have listening 9 points and reading 8.5. Wow. So I did a lot of listening and reading tests, and for this the books are great, because it depends what sort of type you are. I love to work with a book and on a desk and just do, practice and test essays. I just love that.
Yeah.
But for the active skills, for the active achievements like writing or speaking, it's not really useful.
No, it's definitely not. No. In Spain, they say that there's an expression, they call it textbook English, and they can, with the textbook, they're amazing reading and writing, but when it comes to speaking, they can, because it's like the curriculum in the past didn't go beyond the textbooks, but like you said, I mean, it depends on what kind of person you are. Like, a lot of people gravitate towards the what do you call it now, there's the reproductive, the active and the passive skills. Yeah, a lot of people gravitate towards the listening and the reading, and other people gravitate towards the speaking and the writing. So you were working with Helen, is that right?
No, with Andrew.
With Andrew, gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So
he was great.
Yeah, he was an awesome essay corrector in the end. But in the end, he left because he had too much work. He had too many essays to correct, and he'd started another job, and he ended up just getting burnt out. It was a shame, really. But
oh no.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a shame. But
oh God, I'll send him my blessings, and I hope he's okay.
I think he's fine now. He got a new job and he moved on. But what changed once you started getting feedback on your essays?
I mean, I got feedback before from my English boyfriend, but the problem was he doesn't know, or he didn't know, obviously, what IELTS want. And when I started to get a feedback from Andrew, it was like, all right, this on this section I have to work on. And it was really good also to get the feedback what I did right and what was good, because I did so many tests, I was really demotivated and really down. So I got positive feedback first of all, and I was like, oh my God, maybe I can do that. Maybe I will achieve my score. Yeah. So it was, I mean, that's the key. I think that was the key, that I got positive feedback first of all, and and really like points and sections where I had to work on. So I basically I took his advice and tried also with the podcast to study in that way, and I had some certain keywords and frames, or how can I say, some little help. And I learned it by heart, some certain phrases I learned it like by heart, so I could rely on it. So every now and then I can just skip that in, or how can I explain that? It's really hard.
I think I know what you mean. Like you learned a few really like useful, in almost universal sentence structures and phrases that you could just put in. I mean, you didn't memorize a complete essay word for word, of course.
No, that makes no sense.
Exactly, yeah. It was just like useful fragments that you could insert where appropriate, because a lot of students, they'll just memorize a lot of phrases and squeeze them into the essay, and then this is the error. This is one of the big errors. You read it and it just doesn't sound right because the phrase is used out of context. But if you do, like you said, memorize and learn a few very, very useful ones, and then put them in at the appropriate moment, in the right frame of reference, in context, then it makes it a lot easier. Yeah.
What I also did was, like, I made myself a sort of a map. That's also like a sort of a teacher thing. So with all the different types of essays you can get, task 1 and task 2, obviously separated. So I thought about, okay, when I have a discussion with two sides, I start like this, or the sentence which combines the first paragraph to the second paragraph, I will start like this. So I had some certain fragments I could use, and one fragment is still in my head. For instance, numerous studies have consistently shown that things like that. Yeah, it's still in my head. Like every cloud has a silver lining. Through all those tests, my English got better, of course.
Yeah. I think this
obviously.
it's like it's almost as a byproduct, it's almost like as an afterthought that in the process of studying for the IELTS, the English improves. But ideally, we would improve our English first and then take the IELTS, but obviously it doesn't work like that for practical reasons. Hardly anybody's going to work unless they really have to, But so do you have any other tips for any students who are preparing for their IELTS?
Yeah, I mean, basically, first of all, never give up. That's the first thing I will tell everyone. I mean, not just because I'm a teacher, and I will tell it, and I also tell that my students. But it's you will achieve your goal. I mean, it will take some time, and it will cost you some money, maybe. Yeah, like I did with 6 tests.
Yeah, but that's so normal, Sabrina. Everybody I've spoken to has taken 3, 4, 5, 6. I knew one person who's taken 19 tests. Could you imagine?
Oh dear God, no. My nightmare. No, but first of all, never give up, and second of all, practice and get positive feedback from friends, and also maybe subscribe to a channel, and when you know where your problems lie, basically, then start there. And what I also did during preparation was I did a lot of sport. I went running, so I could just get out my energy and just like be there. And it's also good for your concentration, I think. Yeah.
I would just like to interrupt you there. I totally agree. Like, if I'm working on the computer and the brain's not working and I'm just kind of stuck, I'm just like, okay, fold the laptop, go outside for a run, come back, refreshed. And you're right, it does improve your not only your physical stamina, obviously, I mean, depending on the sport, but there's a clear connection, There's a clear connection, and plus all the endorphins from doing the sport will cheer up your mood, so it's going to get you in a more positive mindset. So yeah, definitely agree with that point.
Exactly. And do not too crazy much, because then you're just too nervous. So do enough, and how can I say that? It's important to have a sort of a balance between learning and enjoying your life as well, because otherwise you just hate the test even more.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. That's fantastic. Right. So in the end then, you got the band 7, yeah? For your writing.
Yeah,
for
I
the
did.
writing.
Yeah.
And overall, what was your band score overall in the end?
I have to look that up.
Okay.
Overall band score was 8.
8, fantastic. That's great, Sabrina. That is really good.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you so much. All right.
Thanks for listening to IELTSPodcast.com. Thanks for listening to IELTSPodcast.com.